Peach the Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 17 Premiere Review. New faces, old lies, and messy energy returns. After what felt like a long and questionable break, The Real Housewives of Atlanta is finally back for Season 17, and let me just say this right now, the girls came in ready to clock in, but not everybody came prepared. Some brought storylines, some brought confusion, and others brought what I like to call Wi-Fi relationships. Yes, we are back in Atlanta, where the shade is strong, the glam is questionable at times, and the drama is already knocking at the door before the appetizers even hit the table. Season 17 opens with a clear mission: reset the show, mix up the energy, and bring back the chaos that made Atlanta one of the most iconic franchises in Housewives history. And while the producers definitely tried to shake the table with new additions and returning favorites, the real question is, did they actually deliver, or are we about to sit through another season of pretty outfits and no real substance? Let's get into it. Kiss mark a new era, but same old Atlanta energy. From the very first episode, it is clear that Season 17 is trying to give us a new era of RHOA. However, if you have been watching this show long enough, you already know that Atlanta never really changes. The wigs may get updated, the houses may get bigger, and the confessionals may get sharper, but the core of the show remains the same: friendships falling apart, relationships that don't quite add up, and women who will smile in your face while planning your downfall in the next scene. This premiere wastes no time jumping into the mess. There is no slow build. There is no easing us back in. Instead, we are thrown straight into events, conversations, and tension that clearly started long before the cameras began rolling. And honestly, that is exactly what this show needed. Crown Porsha Williams is still that girl. Let's go ahead and address the obvious. Porsha Williams walked into Season 17 like she knew this show needed her, and she is not wrong. Whether you love her or side-eye her, Porsha understands reality television in a way that cannot be taught. She knows how to host an event, she knows how to bring people together, and most importantly, she knows how to keep the cameras interested. This season, Porsha is stepping into a new chapter of her life following her divorce, and instead of hiding from it, she is leaning all the way in. She is living in her ex-husband's home, which already feels like a bold and slightly petty decision, and she is using that space to host one of the first major events of the season. Now let's pause right there. Because hosting a party in your ex's house while moving on with your life is not just bold, it is reality TV gold. At her Mystic Island themed event, Porsha invites the ladies to reconnect, but let's be honest, nobody is there for peace. Everyone shows up dressed, ready, and slightly guarded. And then, just when you think Porsha is going to play it safe, she introduces a new romantic interest. And that is where things start to get interesting. Nail care relationships or situationships. Let's talk about it. One of the biggest themes of this premiere episode is relationships, or at least what the cast is calling relationships. Because from what we saw, some of these connections feel more like auditions than actual partnerships. Drew Sidora, for example, spends a noticeable amount of time on the phone with her man, and while she appears happy, something about it feels off. The energy is giving long distance, FaceTime heavy, we are still figuring this out, and not in a way that feels solid. It is the kind of relationship that looks good on camera until someone starts asking real questions. Then we have Porsha, who introduces her new situation in a way that feels both confident and slightly mysterious. There is also conversation surrounding her exploration of her sexuality, which adds another layer to her storyline this season. And surprisingly, the group does not react with judgment. Instead, there is curiosity, support, and a little bit of playful shade, which is honestly refreshing. But let's not get too comfortable. Because across the board, the men in this episode are giving confusion. Some feel temporary, some feel staged, and some feel like they were brought in just to make sure nobody shows up to an event alone. And if we are being real, Atlanta has always had a history of questionable relationships, so this is not new. But this time, it feels more obvious. Shamia versus Porsha. A friendship on ice. Now let's get into the real tension of the episode, because no season of RHOA is complete without a broken friendship that refuses to heal. Shamia Morton and Porsha Williams are not in a good place, and you can feel it in every interaction they have. There is history here, there are unresolved issues, and there is a level of hurt that neither of them is ready to fully address. Instead of fixing things, they are doing what housewives do best: avoiding the real conversation while throwing subtle shade in group settings. Shamia, in particular, seems to have moved on emotionally. She has formed a new friendship with Kelly, and she is not going out of her way to repair things with Portia. And while she is not being outright hostile, there is a noticeable distance that cannot be ignored. Portia, on the other hand, seems more open to eventually resolving things, but she is also not chasing the friendship. And that creates a dynamic where both women are standing in the same room, smiling, but clearly not on the same page. It is uncomfortable, it is messy, and it is exactly the kind of tension that fuels this show. Mike K. Michelle enters the chat. If you thought this cast was going to play it safe, think again. Because K. Michelle has officially entered the RHOA universe, and she is bringing a completely different energy with her. Known for her time on Love and Hip Hop, K. Michelle is not new to reality television, but stepping into Housewives is a different level. This is not just about music or relationships. This is about lifestyle, social circles, and being able to hold your own in a group of women who have been doing this for years. In this premiere, she presents herself as married, focused, and stepping into a new era of her career, including a shift toward country music. However, there is also a sense that she is still figuring out how she fits into this group. And let's be honest, this group is not easy to break into. The other women are watching her closely. They are listening to what she says, but they are also analyzing how she says it. And while there is no major conflict involving her yet, you can already tell that it is coming. Because in Atlanta, nobody stays neutral for long. Hamburger Pinky Cole, the calm before the storm. Pinky Cole enters the season with a more grounded, business-focused energy. As the face behind a successful brand, she brings a level of professionalism that stands out against the chaos of the group. At first glance, she appears to be the most stable presence in the cast. She is not immediately jumping into drama, she is not throwing shade left and right, and she seems more interested in building connections than tearing them down. But here is the thing about RHOA, calm does not last. There are already hints of tension between Pinky and Kelly, and while it has not fully exploded yet, you can tell that something is brewing. And if history has taught us anything, it is that the quiet ones often end up in the middle of the biggest drama. So, while Pinky may seem like the voice of reason now, I would not be surprised if she is fully activated by the middle of the season. Receipt lies, receipts, and, almost proof. No Housewives season is complete without accusations, and season 17 is already delivering in that department. There are conversations about past situations, questionable behavior, and who said what to whom. And of course, someone always claims to have receipts. But here is the twist, this time, the receipts are not fully there. At one point, it is revealed that certain claims may have been exaggerated or even completely made up, which only adds to the confusion. Because now, instead of arguing over facts, the women are arguing over what is real and what is not. And that creates a level of chaos that is both frustrating and entertaining. Because let's be real, half the time, the truth is not even the point. The point is who can tell the story better. Face mask final thoughts. As RHOA back. After watching the season 17 premiere, I can confidently say that the Real Housewives of Atlanta is trying very hard to reclaim its spot as one of the most entertaining shows on television. And honestly, it might be working. The episode has energy, it has conflict, it has humor, and most importantly, it has potential. Not everything is fully developed yet, and some storylines feel a little shaky, but that is normal for a premiere. What matters is that the foundation is there. We have broken friendships that need resolution. We have new cast members who are still finding their place. We have relationships that may or may not survive the season. And we have just enough confusion to keep things interesting. If the cast leans into the drama, stays authentic, and is not afraid to be a little messy, this season could be exactly what Atlanta needs. Because at the end of the day, we do not watch RHOA for perfection. We watch for the shade, the chaos, the laughter, and the moments that make us pause and say, now why would she do that? And based on this premiere, season 17 is already asking that question. Speech balloon final shady wrap up. Season 17 said, bring your man, but make sure he answers FaceTime. We're friends, but don't sit too close to me. I have receipts, but don't ask to see them. I'm peaceful, until the cameras turn on. And just like that, Atlanta is back.